Hello! As always, I'm doing readings, info in the description. Mars is in Scorpio. I really can't emphasize enough how much of a shift this is. Yes, we still have Mercury retrograde shadow period for a couple of days. Yes, we have Jupiter Saturn retrograde shadow period until like mid-January or so. But ultimately, the major morass, the major feeling of getting stuck and frustrated and feeling like it's difficult to move forward, a lot of overthinking and having to figure out how to balance self and other, how to make our relationships better, how to handle conflicts, etc. They have moved into a definitive new phase with Mars being in Scorpio along with the Sun. This has been very unusual. In my 10 years of study and practice of astrology, I don't remember at all a time period that was like this, where we had Mars conjunct Sun basically for almost 3 months. So we're in the last month of this. By the end of November, Mars and the Sun will have separated enough to not be conjunct in the same energy anymore. But this isn't necessarily bad. It's just for this last month, even like 6 weeks time period, something like that, as Mars was in Libra. That's a rough energy. Again, there's no such thing as a good or a bad energy. They all have their beautiful gifts and challenges, but like I always say, they're smooth and rough energies. And we just went from one of the roughest Mars transits to one of the smoothest by far. One of the two roughest to one of the two smoothest. So this is a nice shift. As I've been saying all throughout October and even leading up until October, October was this time period of figuring out in our minds what it is that we need to do, what do we need to say, especially as per long-term visions with Jupiter and Saturn. They were retrograde for a lot of October. Honestly, I just want to say, I don't want to be dramatic because there's good stuff during all times, but congratulations for us of just making it through, quite frankly, I think the hardest month all year, October, as per retrogrades, and if things were going great for you, awesome, and I hope that they just got better. But overall, I think everybody was dealing with some kind of major challenge when it came to a lot of things: mental, social, long-term future planning, purpose, trying to get stuff together. And we're now at a time period where, again, Mars has moved forward, and it's November is just a month of great action and great excitement in certain ways, and being able to move forward in a very focused manner, whereas before we had to kind of work with other people, and then a lot of it was waiting. It was just a lot of frustration. So beautiful. Here we go. It's very exciting. Now, naturally, of course, there are challenges, just like there were great gifts also for October. It was a beautiful opportunity to rethink. Actually, it was really a wonderful opportunity, one of the best, to be able to look at our lives, look at ourselves, our relationships, the long-term plans that we've been working on, our vision for the future, and to steer it in a new direction. You know, as I always give props, Elsa from ElsaElsa.com said a really beautiful way of describing this throughout October, and I want to build on it a little bit further. So she was saying how October was like everything slowing down because of all the retrogrades, and that was a good thing, and we're steering the ship better because we have things more slow. We have to take our time. We have to really, really figure out where is it that we need to go. And what's cool is what I feel for this month has been is like the rocket fuel, you know, or certainly maybe December is more like the rocket fuel, and this is like the cool high octane, let's move forward. You know, that ship is not only back to where, well, in some ways it might still be getting back to that place. We're still leading into November, but throughout November, it's going to be moving fast. It's going to be going. So, I mean, one last check. It's good to take one last check, especially until November 2nd with the Mercury retrograde shadow period, and just ask ourselves, okay, is everything in place? Do we have our plans? Do we know what we're going to do over the next couple months, over the next year as Saturn continues in Aquarius, over the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Okay, no, we don't need to try and figure everything out ever in life. But this is a really important opportunity that we should be making the most of to really get our long-term vision ideal. Because again, November, and even where we are right now, is about action, moving forward. December is that's where we take off into hyperspace. So we want to make sure that we're having a laser focus. And I think we're in the last couple of days of this lunar cycle that we've been in for just about the last 3 weeks or so. So as much as Mars is entering with the sun, and it's like great fanfare and great like action and feeling it, we also want to over the next 5 days as the moon makes its way through Virgo and then Libra, we also want to take our time and not rush things. And for example, this weekend we have Moon in Virgo, and this energy is great for getting details done, great for getting stuff worked out, especially when it comes to the physical realm, working really hard. Um, and this could be at work or at home, getting stuff organized, whatever. Also, this is a great time to work out, especially with Mars being in Scorpio. But all in all, I think there's something that we need to keep in mind for all of these things. Let's not push ourselves too much. As much as we have that Mars in Scorpio conjunct Sun, again, huge shift, we still are in the end of this lunar cycle. It's going to be this upcoming lunar cycle that begins November, I believe it's November 4th or 5th, something like that. We'll get there. It's with that lunar cycle over that next month period that we're going to be seeing this major moving forward. So we don't want to push too quick out the gate. Again, we're getting out of the coasting phase, but we are in the very last bit of the coasting phase. Whereas with November, it's like, cool, let's move forward. So yeah, all in all, as long as we're keeping that in mind and taking care of ourselves and not rushing, this is awesome. And for the next 6 weeks, we'll have Mars in Scorpio. For most of that, we'll have Sun and Mars in the same energy. Again, we'll get to that as time goes on. But I hope you have a really lovely weekend. We have Venus in Sagittarius, so that's helping to add some lightness, some fun. We have Mercury in Libra as well, so we can have some really good conversations at a party or just with loved ones, just having fun. I think that's really the key thing. Having fun with other people is a big thing. Now, of course, Moon is in Virgo, so we might not want to be around other people, but there's still ways to reach out to other people, maybe over the phone or Skype or whatever. Yeah, this can be... This weekend, as much as... I do want to say one thing. As much as we don't want to over push it, we don't want to go too wild with it, we do have Mars and Sun in Scorpio. So that was a wonderful time. One last thing. The challenge with this is to have all this energy like we've been having really for the last 2 months, but to not express it. It should be pretty easy to express it. Everybody's going to be feeling that warrior energy and more naturally inclined to go for a run or a long walk or to lift weights or whatever. But we do need to express it. Again, we need to be careful, especially over this weekend, to not over-express it because we can really injure ourselves during this time. There's a lot of energy to work with, but as long as we're just taking our time, again, this goes for everything in life, as long as we're just taking our time, we can make a lot of major progress over the course of this weekend and even, over the next 6 weeks. But again, one last thing, for the next 5 days, let's take it easy. Building up until that new moon where we can really launch into that next phase of action and activity. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. Peace.